What background did you have that helped you be successful as a leader at Centralia College?
Well, that's a hard one. Okay, what there?
No. Why don't, here.
You're okay.
He's mic'd already.
Who's your mic? Oh, just go ahead and talk.
Okay, maybe I didn't have sufficient, I don't know. But once you get on the job, you have to learn a lot about your community, a lot about current graduates from all the high schools in the whole district. And the district was a new thing at the time. And Lewis and Thurston County was Centralia's district, where Centralia had a history of serving far more than just Lewis County, both south, particularly down into the south, and also north beyond just Thurston County. And it was trying to retain, you're trying to retain growth, at least never lose students. And with all these goings on, and legislative things regarding the definition of community college and where students could go, was always threats to enrollment. So Centralia survived very well during some very difficult times as far as maintaining growth, even during periods when quite a little turbulence in the post-high school education was going on. But at any rate, Centralia's, the commitment of the community, and by community I mean more than just Centralia, Chehalis, Adna, the Salkums, and all the rest, the commitment of the entire area to the quality of programs and the caliber of students that came out of Centralia College was what helped that no matter how difficult times came, its reputation and its support carried on consistently, so we never did have really any enrollment difficulty.
Okay. All right, thank you. Hank?
Well, I've had a 60-year love affair with higher education. And I guess my first experience in college was in 1953. That's a long time ago when I went to college, and it was the most wonderful place. I liked high school, but college was so great. And these faculty members knew their subject so well. And they sort of had enthusiasm for their subject, and you sort of catch that as well as you catch it as well as it's taught. And so, to me, my own college days were just terrific, and well remember them. And then, what are you going to do with this education you're getting? Well, hey, how about working in the higher education for your career? What a great idea! That's terrific. So I set out with the idea of, I've had such a terrific experience in higher education, I'd like to see other people have that same kind of experience. I, first of all, had to study about higher ed. What's it all about? Not just from an experience standpoint, but from a textbook standpoint. And so I enrolled at the University of Denver that had a program on counseling and guidance in higher education. And we dissected students. What is the student experience? What happens to students when they come to the college? What happens while they're here? How do they get through the process? How do they get into placement and so on? How do they receive financial aid? And all of the many components of getting a college education. The study of college students. And it was a wonderful program, a 2-year program. And after that, I was ready to hit the bricks and get into college administration myself, because I learned about it, and now I got a chance to do it. Well, behold, I started, first of all, in admissions. That's where you start, isn't it? You start in admissions. And it was interesting. It gave me an interesting perspective to the college experience, because I began to look at it from a prospective student. I began to look at it from a parent standpoint and from the community standpoint. And it was very different from the experience that we have when we're in higher education. And that really has helped me and sort of set the tone. I then got a chance to get into college administration. I became a counselor, a teacher, taught humanities, taught leadership, and eventually started up the ladder for administration. As an assistant dean, and then a dean. Dean is a 4-letter word, by the way, but a fun one. And then a vice president. And that gave me a much broader experience putting this all together, because when you're a vice president in a college community, you get a chance to work with the other areas and begin to understand what the problems of the business office are, what placement's all about, what the academic program is doing, and the community as well. And so I had some terrific experience in higher education, some 25 years, watching how these colleges operate, operating them myself, and that really was what gave me a head start coming to this place called Centralia College.
Thank you. Jim?
Well, mine is relatively easy. You know, my background is in fish biology, and if you can manage a school of fish, you can manage a school of people, right? All right. No, actually, I think what helped me more than anything else is I had some great mentors all the way through my education, my career, people that have really taught me lessons that I'll never forget. I did start out working with the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and that was great. But the best experience I ever had was moving up to Peninsula College and starting as an instructor, and taught there for 13 years. And my goal was to build the best fisheries technology program in the nation. And we had students doing everything. It was one of the most fun things I'd ever done in my life. But there comes a point, the governor at that time appointed me to the Fish and Wildlife Commission, as it mentions in the bio. And so I would actually teach a class in the morning. They would fly a plane up to Port Angeles, pick me up, we'd run down to Olympia, have a Fish and Wildlife Commission meeting, and then I'd fly back and give a lecture that afternoon. For 10 years, they did that. It was like having 2 full-time jobs. And so at the end of that time period, I was no longer doing that. The dean from vocational education quit, and so they asked me to step in part-time. And I said, well, you know, I've got the time now, I'll give it a try. I started doing that and absolutely fell in love with it. And that's when I first, I guess probably one of the most important mentors in my life came into my life. My president at that time was Wally Sigmar. And Wally was an absolutely marvelous individual. And what he taught me is the most important thing you have around you are your people. And so what I did is I created teams. And this was at a time when the mill had just shut down in Port Angeles. And the whole community kind of went in a tailspin. And so I put together a team of people. And within 2 years, we had created 11 vocational workforce training programs. We were bringing in over $2 million a year to the college. We were really making a difference in the community. I thought, wow, this is really wonderful. And then Wally unfortunately passed away. But before he did, he said, you got to promise me one thing. He said, I know you've never thought of this, but I want you to be a president. And so I said, okay, for Wally, I'll do that. And I tried, and was very, very fortunate to come down to Centralia College in 2002. And I was very fortunate to be successor to 2 fabulous gentlemen who left this college in absolutely wonderful condition. And so when we did have things happening here, we had a great team already. We had really good people. And so I truly believe that in order to be successful, and the skills that you bring really are about the people you surround yourself with. The people that you put together as part of your team. That's really what makes the difference. And it's just like Rotary. It's the teams in Rotary that make a difference. And it's the teams in life, I think, that we put together around ourselves that really makes a difference. And I think that's the one skill that I learned more than anything else. That's the most important thing. It's not about you. It's really about the team. It's really about the people.
Great, thanks.